Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Prabhu, Jai Prabhupada, Jaya
Our glories to the Assam devotees. Our glories to the Assam devotees. Our glories to Shri Guru Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, second canto, chapter 4. Not working. Hold on. Recorder. It's not. Seems to be working. Okay, let's try again. Yeah. Yes. Now it's happening. I think. I'm reading from Canto 2, Chapter 8, text 10 to 14, and also we're having the second part of the seminar on prayers of Shukadeva Goswami, verses 18 to 24. So verse 10, Shapya to Purusho Vishwastityud Bhava Yaya Mukvatmamaya Mayesha Shite Sarvabhashya. Please also explain the personality of Godhead who lies in every heart as a supersoul and as the Lord of all energies, but is untouched by his external energy. Report. Undoubtedly, the form of the Lord, who was seen by Brahma, must be transcendental. Otherwise, how could he simply look upon the creative energy without being touched? It is understood also, the same Purusha lies in the heart of every living entity. This also requires proper explanation. Purusha Vayavailoka Sapalaha Purvakatpitaha Loka Amusya Vavayaha Sapalayadi Tishushama. O learned Brahman, it was formerly explained that all the planets of the universe, with their respective governors, are situated in different parts of the gigantic body of the Virat Purusha. I have also heard that the different planetary systems are supposed to be in the gigantic body of the Virat Purusha, but what is their actual position? Will you please explain that? Yavan kalpa vikalpa vayata kala numiyate bhuta bhava shabda ayar manam chaya satan. Also, please explain the duration of time between creation and annihilation, and that of other subsidiary creations, as well as the nature of time, indicated by the sound of past, present, and future. Also, please explain duration and measurement of life of different living beings known as demigods, human beings, etc., in different planets of the universe. Purport. Past, present, and future are different features of time to indicate the duration of life for universe and all its paraphernalia, including the different living beings in different planets. 13. Kalasyanu yatu lakshitain vihat yapi yavat yakarma gataya yadi shidri jasatama. O purest of the Brahmins, please also explain the cause of the different durations of time, both short and long, as well as the beginning of time following the course of action. 14. Yasmin karma samavayo yata yena pagrihate Gunanam guninam chaiva harinamam abhipsata. Then again, kindly describe how proportionate accumulation of the reactions resulting from different modes of material nature act upon the desiring living being, promoting or degrading him among different species of life. Beginning from the demigods down to the most insignificant creatures. Purport. Actions and reactions of all works in the material modes of nature, either in the minute form or in the gigantic form, are accumulated, and thus the result of such accumulated actions and reactions of karma or work become manifested in the same proportion. How such actions and reactions take place, what the different procedures are, and in what proportion they act, are all subject matters of Maharaj Parikshit's inquiries from the great Brahmana Shukadeva Goswami. Life in the higher planets, known as abodes of denizens of heaven, is obtained not by the strength of spacecraft, as is now being contemplated by the inexperienced scientists, but by works done in the mode of goodness. Even on the very planet where we are now living, there are restrictions upon the entrance of foreigners into a country where the citizens are more prosperous. For example, the American government has many restrictions for the entrance of foreigners from less prosperous countries. The reason is that the Americans do not wish to share their prosperity with any foreigner who has not qualified himself as a citizen of America. Similarly, the same mentality is prevailing in every other planet where there are more intelligent living beings residing. The higher planetary living conditions are all in the mode of goodness, and anyone desiring to enter the higher planets like the moon, sun, and Venus must qualify thoroughly by activity and complete goodness. Maharaj Parikshit's inquiries on the basis of proportionate actions of goodness which qualify one in this planet to be promoted to the highest regions of the universe. Even on this planet of our present residence, we cannot achieve a good position within the social order without being qualified with proportionate good work. One cannot forcibly sit on the chair of a high court judge without being qualified for the post. Similarly, one cannot enter into the higher planetary systems without being qualified by good works in this life. Persons addicted to the habits of passion and ignorance have no chance of entering the higher planetary systems simply by electronic mechanism. According to the statement Bhagavad Gita, persons trying to qualify themselves for promotion to the higher heavenly planets can go there. Similarly, persons trying for Pichi Lokas can go there. Similarly, persons trying to improve the conditions on this earth can also do that. And persons who are engaged in going back to Godhead can achieve that result. The various actions and reactions of work in the mode of goodness are generally known as pious work with devotional service, culture of knowledge with devotional service, mystic powers with devotional service, and at last, devotional service unmixed with any other varieties of goodness. This unmixed devotional service is transcendental and is called Parabhakti. It alone can promote a person to the transcendental kingdom of God. Such a transcendental kingdom is not a myth, but is as factual as the moon. One must have transcendental qualities to understand the kingdom of God and God himself. Mukkam karati vatshalam bhangam lankate girim yakipantam vande Sri Gurum dinatavinam Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshumiritam Yena Tassamai Shri Gurave Namah. So this purport, like second paragraph to the end, talks about qualification. There is qualification to go to the higher planets, and there is qualification to have a good position here also. So it's not that you just, read a book or get in a spaceship and you can go to these higher planets. They have visa restrictions, just like America does, as Prabhupada said. So what is the qualification? Here it says, the end, one must have transcendental qualities to understand the kingdom of God and God himself. So how can we understand Krishna and Goloka Vrindavan? We need the blessings. We need the blessings of the Guru. We need the blessings of the superiors. So that brings us to the prayers of Shukadeva Goswami, that he is praying to the Lord for empowerment, to understand all these things. Very difficult questions Maharaj Parikshit has asked, very difficult questions. And so he is asking, how is this? How is this possible? So we will actually start, oh dear, it's 11 to 17. Okay, I brought the wrong papers here. I brought yesterday's instead of today's. So we have to go back. Somebody needs to go to my room. I have to go. So we have to interrupt this class for 5 minutes. So while I run and get the proper notes from my room. Okay? Yeah.
Can any of us do anything?
Pardon me?
Can any of us do anything for you?
Can you have what?
Can we do anything for you?
No, I'll just go. No. No. Okay, I'll be there in a minute.
Okay.
I go.
We'll just do some kirtan.
Thank you, Dada.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
2 for 18, we're going to chant this verse. And you can repeat after me. Okay? Not yet. 2 for 18. Yeah, that's it. Okay. You do have the Sanskrit. Kirata hunanta pulinda pukasha. Kirata hunanta pulinda pukasha. Abhira Shambha Yavana Kasavya. Abhira Shambha Yavana Kasavya. Enyeti Papaya Abhashaya Shaha. Enyeti Papaya Abhashaya Shaha. Shidyanti Tasmai Ravishave Namaha. Shidyanti Tasmai Ravishave Namaha. Kirata Hunanda Pulinda Pukasha Ibera. Shumba Yavana, members of caste races, even others addicted to sinful acts, can be purified by taking shelter of devotees of the Lord, due to his being the supreme power. I beg to offer respectful obeisances to him. So this verse shows that one can become empowered by glorifying Krishna and serving the devotee. These are the 2 points here. And in his Abhideya, it's universal application. as we hear in the later on in this canto in the Chatushloki, the seed verse of Bhagavatam, that sarvatra sarvada, anytime and anywhere, anyone can do devotional service. Even the animals can do devotional service. Hanuman, Gajendra, they did it. So we already have a relationship with Krishna. So we already have the qualification, and sincerity is what is required. So Shikadev Sutta Goswami said in the first canto that although we are born in a mixed caste, we are promoted just by associating with the pure devotees. So that's our qualification. We're born in a mixed caste for sure, most of us. And so, but just by associating with the pure devotees, we can become qualified. And Prabhupada stresses in the purport that we have, if the leadership of the world affairs is entrusted to devotees of the Lord, for which a worldwide organization under the name and style of International Society for Krishna Consciousness has already been started, then by the grace of the Almighty Lord, there can be a thorough change of heart in human beings all over the world. Because devotees of the Lord are able authorities to effect such a change by purifying the dust-worn minds of the people in general. So dust-worn minds people have, worn by dust. Our minds are covered by dust, many, many births. And he says in the purport, there is no bar to becoming a devotee of the Lord. And you can go back to Godhead. Qualification is to take shelter of a pure devotee of the Lord, who has knowledge in transcendental science of Krishna. And so if, and then Prabhupada said, anyone from any part of the world who becomes well conversant in the science of Krishna becomes a pure devotee and a spiritual master for the general mass of people and may reclaim them by purification of heart. And so, yes, we can all do it. We can do it. If we take shelter of Srila Prabhupada, take shelter of his teachings, take shelter of his books, we can become qualified and become spiritual master and go back to Godhead and take everyone with us. And so then later on in the end of paragraph 2, near the end, Prabhupada says, as the all-powerful Lord accepts the humble service of his devotee in devotional service of the Archana, his form as worshipful deity in the temple, similarly the body of a pure Vaishnava changes transcendentally at once when he gives himself up to the service of the Lord and is trained by a qualified Vaishnava. So yes, when we chant Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada said that our subtle body changes. We can't see it because the problem is in India, some caste brahmanas say that you must be born in a Brahmin family before doing bhakti, doing devotional service, doing anything Brahminical. You have to be born in a Brahmin family. But Srila Prabhupada said, yes. They say you have to change your body. Next birth, you can do it if you're born in a Brahmin family. Srila Prabhupada said, when we chant Hare Krishna, we're changing our body. We're changing our subtle body. Our subtle body is changing as we chant the holy name. And so, yes, again in the purport, Prabhupada says, without any reference to the particular custom of a country, one can be accepted to the Vaishnava cult spiritually, and there is no hindrance in the transcendental process. So by the order of Lord Chaitanya, the cult of Srimad Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita can be preached all over the world, reclaiming all persons willing to accept the transcendental cult. So yeah, everybody can be a devotee. And that's what Srila Prabhupada said, we wake up in the morning and we feel we have, this problem, that problem, so many problems. Prabhupada said, only one problem we have. And that is how to accept Krishna. That's our problem. So when Lord Chaitanya came, he had the Namacharya was born in a Muslim family. Can you imagine? 500 years ago. And there were, these strict caste brahmanas, so, they didn't like that at all. And he had Sanatana Goswami and Rupa Goswami. They were writing spiritual books. They were doing Brahminical activities, although they were rejected from the Brahmin society because they were they were servants of the Muslims, basically. So they were rejected, but they were chosen to write these spiritual books and to preach. So yes, we can do it. Rupa Goswami, he says that Ashabandha, he says, I have no love for Krishna, nor for the causes of developing love of Krishna, hearing and chanting. Process of bhakti yoga, which one always thinks of Krishna and fixes lotus feet in the heart, is also lacking in me. As far as philosophical knowledge or pious works are concerned, I don't see any opportunity for me to do such things. So I simply pray to you, Gopi Jana Vallabha. I simply wish and hope some way or other I may be able to approach your lotus feet, and this hope is giving me pain. So yes, so we can hope against hope like Sri Rupa Goswami does. So I will read verse 19. We will not chant the Sanskrit of that. He is the super soul and the supreme Lord of all self-realized souls. He is personification of the Vedas, religious scriptures, and austerities. He is worshipped by Lord Brahma and Shiva and all those who are transcendental to all pretensions. Being so revered with awe and veneration, may that supreme absolute be pleased with me. So this is the goal of life, to please Krishna. That is the purpose of devotional service, to please Krishna. But who can please Krishna? One who is above pretension. So pretension, what is pretension? Can anybody tell me what is the meaning of pretension? So I guess those who know English as first language will be able to do that word. Pretension, have you heard that word? Pretension. And if you don't know, I'll tell you.
I think it means that you pretend to be something that you're really
You
not.
pretend to be something you're not. Yes, that's one meaning. And pretension also means you do something, but you have a different motive for doing it. Not like you're not being direct, you're like a hypocrite. You do something, but you're thinking something else. So this is also pretension. So Prabhupada, he categorizes three classes of people who have pretension. That's the karmis, the jnanis, and the yogis. The karmis want to enjoy the things of this world. So they're having pretension because Krishna is the enjoyer. They're pretending that I can be the enjoyer. And then there's the jnanis who want to merge into Krishna. They're pretending, yes, I can be God. Why not? And then there's the yogis who want mystic powers. So they all have these desires, three pretensions. But the devotees, their desire is to please Krishna. So no pretensions, that is the devotee. They're dependent on the orders of Krishna. They're always ready to discharge their duties for the satisfaction of Krishna. The Prabhupada talks about Arjuna. In the beginning, he had pretensions in Bhagavad Gita. No, I can't fight because of this, this, and this. But at the end, Krishna convinced him, no, you fight for me. And so he became free of pretension. And so that's the purpose of hearing these prayers, hearing Bhagavad Gita. So now verse 20 tells us what is the mentality of a devotee who is free of pretension. So we will chant this verse. Shriya Pati Yagya Pati Prajapati Shriya Pati Yagya Pati Prajapati Tiyang Pati Loka Pati Tara Pati Tiyang Pati Loka Pati Tara Pati Pati Kadishchan Takavishni Sattvatam Pati Kadishchan Kavishni Sattvatam Prasidata Me Bhagavan Satam Pati Prasidata Me Bhagavan Satam Pati. Dear Lord Krishna, who is the worshipful Lord of all devotees, the protector and glory of all kings like Andaka and Vrishni of the Elder Dynasty, the husband of all goddesses of fortune, the director of all sacrifices, and therefore the leader of all living entities, controller of all intelligence, proprietor of all planets, spiritual and material, and the supreme incarnation on the earth, the supreme all in all, be merciful upon me. So there's different categories of, perhaps you can tell me, if I tell you the Sanskrit, then you tell me what is Krishna the Lord of. Pati means Lord. So the first is Shriyapati. So Shriyapati means Lord of what? Or Shri. Yes, goddess of fortune, Lakshmi. Yagyapati. What is he the Lord of there? Sacrifice. Prajapati. Living entities. He's okay. Dhyam-pati. He's Dhyam. Intelligence. Lokapati. All the planets. Tarapati.
The counts.
Huh?
The stars.
No. It's Tara is earth. Yes, so that's Krishna. And in the purport, Prabhupada talks about how he's the Lord of each one. How he's the Lord of Lakshmi, because when he came, he showed the Rasa Lila to attract the conditioned souls. Yagyapati, because he's a Lord of sacrifice. Of course, Prabhupada says the Sankirtan Yoga is our sacrifice to this age. And if you do Sankirtan, three things will happen. Number one, you'll never have difficulty keeping your body and soul together. So you will get enough to eat, at least, place to stay. Number two, you'll purify your existence. And number three, you'll get promotion to the spiritual existence. You'll find out your real identity, who you are. So that's Yagyapati. Prajapati, he is the leader of all living entities. He's the Lord of our Lord, because he maintains us. That's why. And Tyapati, that is intelligence, Lord of intelligence, because Srila Prabhupada says one is highly intelligent by the grace of the Lord. He's also a fool by the Lord's control. So by the same control. Lord of intelligence. And he's owner, Lokapati, because everything we see is his creation. And Tarapati, Lord of the earth, because he came here and he showed his opulence, having 16,108 palaces and wives and that. So out of his causeless mercy, he descends by his own energy and shows how he's the Lord of everything. So I'll just read 21, we won't sing it. That is the personality of Godhead Shri Krishna, who gives liberation. By thinking of his lotus feet at every second, following in the footsteps of authorities, the devotee in trance can see the absolute truth. The learned mental speculators, however, think of him according to their whims. May the Lord be pleased with me. So how does the devotee remember the Lord? Prabhupada talks about it in the purport. Simply by remembering the Lord's lotus feet at every second, he becomes established in trance. So that's the pure devotee's vision. How does he think? He thinks he's fallen in the ocean of birth and death. So that's Shikshastika 5, my dear Lord, Nanda Tanuja, please, I'm your servant, I fell in this ocean, please pick me up, place me as an atom of dust at your lotus feet. And he incessantly prays to the Lord to lift him up. He only aspires to become a speck of transcendental dust at the lotus feet of the Lord. And so, yes, this is what happens when we surrender. Then we just want to serve Krishna. And so then in the purport, Prabhupada says an analogy, let the swan of my mind sink to the stems of his lotus feet. So he also prays that. And that what that means is our mind should be always thinking about Krishna. And so he reserves the right of not being exposed to mental speculators. That this verse mentions them. And Prabhupada says a very interesting thing in the purport. The Lord is not like a shopkeeper trying to please all sorts of customers in the mental speculator exchange. Who can tell me what is the mental speculator exchange? We do have it now in the present day. We have a mental speculator exchange. And it is called Facebook. What is on your mind? So we have a mental speculator exchange. Everybody's exchanging what is on their mind. And Krishna is not the shopkeeper there. Somebody else is the shopkeeper of this mental speculator exchange. So we have to be careful there on the mental, if we go on the mental speculator exchange, not to have bad association. So how do we see the Lord through the medium of Srila Prabhupada? Prabhupada says in the purport, humbleness of the pure devotee, who is 100% engaged in his service, puts the devotee of the Lord in a trance by which to realize everything. Because to the sincere devotee of the Lord reveals himself. So yes, he will get realization, and starting with the tongue. If you use your tongue to eat and to chant, then Krishna will reveal himself. So Prabhupada said, again in the purport, when he reveals himself to the devotee, when he is fully satisfied by the devotee's service attitude. Service attitude. So that's the key. It's your attitude. Your service attitude. Then that's when Krishna will reveal himself to you. And that's why Shukadev is praying to the Lord. He's not a mental speculator thinking he knows everything. And whatever he says is very interesting to everyone on the mental speculator exchange. But he prays for blessings to please the Lord. So we'll go to verse 22. We will chant this verse. Prachoditayena purasarasati, prachoditayena purasarasati, itan vatajasya satim smritim vidi, itan vatajasya satim smritim vidi, salakshana pra durabhakilasyata, salakshana pra durabhakilasyata, same vishinam Rishabha Vasitatam. Same Vishinam Rishabha Vasitatam. May the Lord, when beginning of creation, amplified the potent knowledge of Brahma from within his heart and inspired him with full knowledge of creation and of his own self, and who appeared to be generated from the mouth of Brahma, be pleased with me. So Krishna first revealed himself to Brahma through the heart. That was the beginning of Bhagavatam. We heard about that. And Brahma distributed this knowledge through the cyclic succession. And that's how we get the knowledge. So the purport, to summarize, Srila Prabhupada says that living beings can have 78% of knowledge that Krishna has, but in a very small quantity. Now we're forgetful, but we can wake up when Krishna, in the heart, he inspires us with this knowledge. And this is called the awakening of knowledge. This is described in first canto, the second chapter, verse 21, purport, that when we chant Hare Krishna, when we do devotional service, Krishna in the heart turns on the lights. And then we see Krishna and we see ourselves and we see all our past sins too. See a lot of things when Krishna turns on the light. We might see the sins first before we see ourselves in Krishna. That might come first, and we might get that vision. So Krishna, and then there's another thing that Krishna does, that there is a knot in our heart, not a false ego. Krishna unties that knot, so then we can see him and see ourselves. So Shukadev, he wants the power to speak about creation. And Brahma got this knowledge from Lord in the heart, and that's how Shukadev also got it. Was distributed. He got it from his father Vyasadeva. And so but now he's praying for empowerment to speak. He got knowledge, but not only when you get the knowledge, you still need the blessings. You still need the blessings to speak. As we said the last time, we talked about the prayers of Shukadev, that in order to eat or speak or do anything, you need to ask permission or get the blessings of the Lord. So Chaitanya Charitamrita, it's very interesting. It's described how one gets inspiration from the Supersoul. And Ramananda Roy says, Lord Chaitanya is the Supersoul in the heart. So for devotees, our Supersoul is different from the non-devotees. Non-devotees, they have Vishnu with the four hands. We have Lord Chaitanya, we have Krishna, Radha Krishna, Sitaram, or Jagannath in our heart, revealing the knowledge. So we'll go to verse 23. May the Supreme Lord, who enlivens the materially created bodies of the elements lying down within the universe, and who in his Purusha incarnation causes the living being to be subjected to the 16 divisions of material modes which are his generator, be pleased to decorate my statement. So he knows about creation, actually. He's summarizing creation in this verse. But still, he's praying for blessings to describe it. Again, he wants to be an instrument, and as a dependent devotee, he's trying to please the Lord. His prayers, he's asking the Lord, please decorate my statements. Here, that's his prayer. Please help me speak. Please decorate my statements. So again, how to be an instrument. Please give me blessings. Please empower me. Second thing, he declines to take credit for anything done by himself. So that was Srila Prabhupada. When people would say, oh, you've done wonderful things, he says, no, it's my spiritual master who is working through me. Or sometimes he would say, no, it's my disciples. They are sent by my spiritual master to help me. But he wouldn't take credit for himself. But one time he said, there's actually one thing I will take credit for, that I didn't change anything. I didn't change the message of Krishna. I didn't interpret it. So first of all, devotee, if you want to be an instrument, you try to invoke the pleasure of the Lord. Second, don't take credit. Third, you want to move by the direction of the Lord. You want to get the direction of the Lord. And fourth, no desire to become a self-appointed interpreter without authority. That means there's many versions of Bhagavad Gita. Actually, I don't know, maybe 1,000 by now. Why are there so many versions of Bhagavad Gita? Because if these people would write their own book, nobody will read it. But they take Bhagavad Gita and put their name. Oh, it's Bhagavad Gita. I'll read this book. And then they write what nonsense they want to write. So no, we don't do that. So another reason he wants to why does he want to be an instrument? To help others who he would like to speak to. And that's Prabhupada when he came to America, he said, how will they understand devotional service? Oh Lord, I'm praying for your mercy, so I'll be able to convince them about your message. Yes, so that was Srila Prabhupada. All living entities are under control of illusory energy by your will. So if you like, by your will, they can be released. So he said, yes, if you like, you can release these people, save these people. But then he says, I wish that you may deliver them. Now, That makes a huge difference. When a devotee wishes something, Krishna has to fulfill it. So Prabhupada desired that we all be delivered, and that's why we are here today. He desired it. Pure devotee desired that we be delivered. So then, that's why we can speak Bhagavatam today and sit here. So text 24, the last one. We will say this verse. Namastasmai Bhagavate. Oh, do you have it? Jai Bhagavate Vasudevaya Vehase Sudevaya Vehase Papurganamayam Saumya Papurganamayam Saumya Yadmukham Buddhapasavam Buddhapasavam. I offer respectful obeisance unto Srila Vyasadeva, incarnation of Vasudeva, who compiled the Vedic scriptures. The pure devotees drink of the nectar and transcendental knowledge dropping from the lotus-like mouth of the Lord. Very interesting purport. We will read some of this purport. So we'll go to the commentary of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. The nectar from the mouth of Lord Krishna is transferred to his different consorts, and thus they learn the finer arts of music, dance, dressing, decorations, and all such things which are relished by the Lord. So the nectar from Krishna's lotus lips is going to his consorts. This same nectar is coming from Shukadev to us. One time I was giving a lecture on Radhashtami in the Vrindavan Gurukul. So one little boy asked me, did Radharani go to Gurukul? I said, no, she learned in a different way. So, yes, she learned everything. Here it says how. And so such music, dance, and decorations enjoyed by the Lord are certainly not anything mundane, because the Lord is addressed in the very beginning as para, or transcendental. Okay. So then he goes, and Prabhupada says, one should therefore try to understand the Vedic scriptures, or the nectar transferred by the Lord to his consorts in the conjugal humor from the lotus-like mouth of Vyasadeva or Shukadev. So that's what this knowledge is coming, that's where it's coming from. And Prabhupada is telling us this is the nectar of Krishna's lotus lips that we are getting from Shukadev. So isn't that wonderful? And that at the end, Prabhupada says, the pure devotees of the Lord can equally relish the nectar in the form of profound philosophical discourses and the form of kissing by the Lord in rasa dance, as there is no mundane distinction between the two. So what we're getting here in Bhagavatam is a very, very high thing. We're not aware, but actually this is where it's coming from. And here it's said right in Srimad Bhagavatam, what is the source of all this knowledge? So I would just read a little verse from, 2 verses from Chaitanya Charitamrita. Topics about Krishna are like waves of nectar. If such nectar does not enter one's ear, the ear is no better than the hull of a damaged conch shell. Such an ear is created for no purpose. The nectar from the lips of Lord Krishna and his transcendental qualities and characteristics surpass the taste of the essence of all nectar, and there is no fault in tasting such nectar. If one does not taste it, he should die immediately after birth, and his tongue is considered no better than tongue of a frog. So there you have it, prayers of Shukadev. How would be an instrument? So we can try to apply these things that Prabhupada has explained in the purport, how to be an instrument, to be humble, to be try to please Krishna, and do devotional service with that mood and that attitude. So I'll stop here if there's any questions or comments about this verse. It's esoteric about these verses. It wasn't just this verse. Okay, see if there's some online questions. Oh, he has a question.
not. You said like, there are different versions of Bhagavad Gita.
Mhm.
So my question is,
Different versions of Bhagavad Gita. Right, right.
did you came across any of
I did come across a different version before I met Srila Prabhupada devotees from another guru. And it was very interesting because he only published the first 6 chapters. He didn't go beyond that. He was, he didn't go to the bhakti part. I mean, there's chapters and Prabhupada showed us. And I did. Yeah, I did have access. Yeah, and it was quite interesting. As a child, there was a book that my mother and father had, and had pictures of people, and there was verses quoted from Bhagavad Gita in that book, just a non-devotee book. Very interesting. And I remember if there was one verse, if I should cease to work, that would be the ruination. That's the verse I remember I saw in that book. Yeah, it was very interesting. So it wasn't entitled Bhagavad Gita, just someone had taken some verses and put them in there. Yeah, I read it and I wasn't, impressed. When I read Prabhupada's Gita, I thought, oh, this is beautiful and poetry, and it's bhakti, it's devotional service. And from that first Gita, you didn't get bhakti at all. Astanga Yoga, he's into Astanga Yoga, that previous one.
in India also this Gita Press?
Gita Press.
They also have their version.
They have their version. Yeah, I haven't read that, so I don't know. When I was in India in the 70s, Gita Press they didn't have a commentary. They just had in Sanskrit. So I read, I had a Sanskrit, somebody taught me Sanskrit, how to sing the verses of Bhagavatam. In 1 week, I learned how to sing all the verses of Bhagavatam. But, and so at that point, Gita Press only had the verses of Bhagavatam, verses of Gita. So now I guess they put commentary too. So I haven't read them, so I can't say what it is. Yeah.
Because people in India, because Gita Press is very old people.
Yeah, Gita Press is very famous.
They were taught in Bhagavad Gita. They I have Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah.
From Gita.
So you have to read it and then you can tell them the difference.
So
Yeah, I think it's good if you can read the Gita Press version. Prabhupada was actually friends with the owner. I think he got a donation from Gita Press to print his Bhagavatams.
like Gita Press is also not for a profit.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. It's not profit. Yeah. Yeah, I haven't read that, so can't really comment on it. Okay, any questions online? Oh, you have a question.
Let's check online first.
Well, you can ask.
Hare Krishna devotees online. Do you have any questions? I can't see who has their hand raised, so please speak up. Going once, going twice.
Okay, go ahead. Your question.
You were speaking about pretension.
Protection.
Pretension.
Pretension.
And the 3 types of the
Yeah,
karma, jnani, and
Yeah, 3 types of people who have pretension, karmi, jnani, yogi.
So, if we're practicing devotional service or trying to practice devotional service, and we witness pretension in ourselves, how can we understand that?
How can we understand if we see pretension in ourselves? Yes, as I said, Krishna will turn on the light, and that's the first thing you're going to see. is all the anarthas and all the difficult things. And so we do have to pray for, again, pray for Krishna to remove. Nrsimhadev is the one also who removes our pretensions and obstacles. We can pray to Lord Nrsimhadev for help with removing our pretensions. And it's good to identify them also. Madhurya Kadambini is a good book to read. to help you identify your pretensions. Actually, in Chaitanya Charitamrita, there's a beautiful purport. Let's see, Madhya Lila, chapter 19, around verse 150, there's a whole section of verses that explains the bhakti creeper, how you get the seed in your heart, how it grows, goes to Goloka. And then after that, it talks about the unwanted creepers in our heart that grow along with the devotional creeper. So it's a good analysis there. And Prabhupada, I believe, quotes Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati about what are the different types of unwanted weeds that grow. It's good to identify them and try to, and pray to get them out. Pray to Nishingadev is the one actually. And Krishna, of course, he's Nishingadev. Nishingadev is Krishna. We can pray for help. Pray for Balaram also, because he's Nitai, he's the most merciful, and he will help us to remove. There's a prayer, when will Nitai make the things of this, my material desires appear insignificant, and then I will see Vrindavan. So we can't see because our vision is covered by these things. We cannot see Vrindavan. Okay, any other question?
When we witness pretensions that are inside of us, Krishna shines the light on them.
Right.
What happens when there's a reluctancy to give them up? Like, what is actually happening inside?
What's happening when we're reluctant to give them up? Yeah, that is the problem with living in the material world. There are many influences on us now. It's the modes of nature, so we're still influenced a little bit by the modes of ignorance and passion. And Maya's telling us, no, this is good. Don't give it up. You know, the voice of Maya is there for us. Especially since we have become devotees, because we have committed Prabhupada's war against Maya. So she will speak to us and try to not let us go out of her clutches. So this is what's happening, that Maya is trying to keep you, the voice of Maya, and your old bad habits, and they come up. But the problem is when we chant, we're cleaning our heart. And just like when you have a dirty house, you don't clean it for a year or two, the dust is going to settle there. And when you start cleaning the house and sweeping, all the dust is going to rise. So same thing happens when we're chanting, that the dust is rising from all our previous lives. And the problem is if we think, oh, that's me, well, that's my desire. It's not your desire. It's not a part of you. It's external. But we think it's us. We know we're not the body. I mean, we believe that, but it's more difficult to know we're not the mind either. We're not the mind. Thank God. Just imagine if you had a loudspeaker on everybody's mind, you could hear what they were thinking. I mean, Facebook is bad enough, but what's on your mind? But just imagine if you put a loudspeaker to your mind and everyone was hearing what was on your mind. You would be embarrassed, I think. I would anyway. But yes, you have a question?
The purport Prabhupada says that Krishna gives skills to his
consorts.
Yeah, but my question is that since we are also part and parcel of Krishna,
Part and parcel of Krishna.
So do we learn these skills for Krishna's son?
Okay, so just like the purport says that Krishna teaches the gopis, he gives them the abilities. He also teaches Brahma in the heart. So we are his parts and parcels. Does he teach us? So the answer is, Prabhupada said, yes, it's Bhagavatam. We hear Bhagavatam, and that's how we learn. Because this Bhagavatam is originally coming from the lips of Krishna to his consorts. It's the same nectar they're getting and we are getting. That was what Prabhupada said in the last sentence of the purport. Pure devotees of the Lord can equally relish the nectar. So nectar we're getting, nectar they're getting. So nectar, devotees can equally relish the nectar in the form of profound philosophical discourses and in the form of kissing by the Lord in the rasa dance, as there is no mundane distinction between the two. So that nectar is Bhagavatam. What Krishna is giving to the gopis in the rasa dance is what we're getting from Bhagavatam. It says devotees, they equally relish both. So, yeah, so that's something to think about. We can't imitate the gopis and think we're kissing Krishna. So because we can't do that, we don't know who we are, we have to hear Bhagavatam. And that's the same nectar. But we don't know how that's the same nectar. How can it be the same? That's how we learn. We learn from Bhagavatam. From Shukadeva. It's coming from Shukadeva. It's coming from Prabhupada. So that nectar, they are passing to us. Any other questions?
Hare Krishna.
Okay. Jai
Mataji.
voice Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Jai.
తీసుకెళ్తామా
The next class will be Ram Navami tomorrow. I heard 2 different times, so I'm not sure. You tell me 6:45. She told me 6, so I don't know. What time is it? 6:45 is the correct time. Thank you.
So
Okay.
we'll have the Abhishek
Yeah, Abhishek
first,
first.
and then by that time, everybody has arrived.
Oh, I see.
So by 6, and then after the class, then there'll be the party.
Archie and Prasad. Okay. Jai.
Thank you to the devotees that have joined on. I hope you all have a Krishna conscious day, and we'll see you tomorrow. Tomorrow is Ram Navami. We'll have a program at the temple.